All right, I'm going to get started. It's 11 o'clock. So let's start here. My name is Lisa Medina, and I gave you a little bit of my history because I feel like I need to explain. So I have been in education for 22 years, in blended learning for 3 years at Pebble Hills Elementary. Um, I taught mostly third and fourth grade, and I was chosen as one of the teachers to participate in the kind of like the little kickoff of blended learning. Pebble Hills was chosen the year after Pasadena and Isleta Elementary. Like they piloted the program, and then we were kind of we were chosen in the next cohort to do that. And so that was my last year in fourth grade. And I have to tell you that that last year in fourth grade was probably the roughest of my career. And so going into third grade, I had to really take a look at my way of teaching and the way that I worked with kids. And so it's almost like I conjured blended learning, you know what I mean? And I was very successful with it, and I wouldn't go back to it. So long story short, I ended up becoming the instructional coach at Mission Valley, where I was for the past 3 years. However, my husband, I don't know if you saw my eyeballs rolling, he took a job in Tucson, Arizona at the end of the school year. So the goal was, I'm going to finish out the school year at Mission Valley. I'm going to resign from my position, resign from the district. And he didn't like Tucson. So he came back, and I didn't have a job. I had a job. I was subbing, and I loved it. I love subbing, but I needed a real job. And again, it's like either it was heaven sent or I conjured it. There was a fourth grade position open at North Loop, and I took it. And so I started at North Loop Elementary the last week of October. So that's kind of a little background into what I'm going to be presenting today. So what is Pillar One? What is relationships in classroom culture? And really looking back and just kind of reflecting this week while I was preparing for this, it's really hard to do this. I mean, it's really hard to be able to gain these little people's trust, right? And to have them do what I want them to do, especially starting in October, right? So I have pushed and pushed and pushed my little baby Jags like you can't imagine. So they're going to be doing a lot of the talking in this presentation, because I want you to listen to them, and I need to give you a little bit of background about them. So this is what my classroom looked like. This was the week of Intercession. So that second week of Intercession, when everybody was off, I had to tackle that. And I thought, okay, well, how am I going to make this inviting and welcoming? And I only had 3 days to do it, and only a couple of hours in those 3 days. So I turned that into this as much as I could. So in the end, just to be fair, I had to take some things down because the fire marshals are not nice. So the brown kind of tarpy looking things in the back are bed sheets. And so I had to lower them. I was told to remove the lights, and I'm not going to, because the kids like it. And that's, you know, that's somebody's responsibility in their job. And, you know, whatever, I'm not going to do it. And that's my motto. I'm not going to do it. What are they going to do? Fire me? No. So this took this time, you know, it took some time to do, but I knew that I needed to create something that was inviting and that the kids would want to come to, right? In the past, you know, I would be ridiculous about setting up a classroom, and it's been a while since I set up a classroom. I would have all of my flex seating out, and it would take me weeks to set up a classroom. And so when you only have days and you don't have stuff anymore because you thought you were never going back into the classroom, you make do with what's there, you know. There were just a couple of pieces that I purchased, but when my new kids walked in, their jaws fell to the floor. And so I knew that I had accomplished that step. I had created something that they wanted to come into and be part of. Okay. So developing relationships with students, I kind of sat there and I thought about it. And usually, you know, when you start in August or, you know, or never end like we did this year, you have that time to establish those routines and your rituals, and you can figure them out and stuff. I got these kids the last week of October. And so I had to get with it real quick. So I started thinking about, well, okay, well, what did I do? Well, what I did was we had a lot of fun first. We had a lot of fun while we were learning, but we still had a lot of fun. I listened to them and their stories. I also need to tell you, let me backtrack just a minute, that these kids had a regular classroom teacher for 10 days. And then for whatever reason, the teacher went on FMLA for a week, and then another week, and then another week. And then the teacher ended up resigning from the district. So then they had 2 weeks of subs. And then they had one long-term sub that was also doing the online for the kids that, you know, couldn't come to school and they were online. And then after that, they split them apart and they put them into the different fourth grade teachers' classrooms. So realistically, for the first 9 weeks of school, they did not have a teacher. And so I had a lot of like trust to gain from these kids. I tell them stories about you know, teaching at Pebble Hills, fourth grade, and the shenanigans with my best friend Judy. I laugh at myself when I trip or I do something. I make mistakes, and I trust them to help them feel safe. Before I can even get into the educational part, we're still kind of right here. And you know what? I'm okay with that because these kids really deserve it. One of the things that was really hard for me to do was to not sweat the small stuff. I have a boy in my class who just loves to push my buttons. That's his new nickname, Buttons. He just loves to push them. Everything that I say, he questions, right? Every single thing. And he's like, well, I just don't think I can do that. And you'll see him in a slide later. Don't assume that you know everything, right? That's another thing that I had with them. And then about week 2 with these kids, I get a student from another teacher, and who has, you know, he doesn't have a good rural reputation right there. There's a reason why he got moved out of the class. And so try really hard not to hold a grudge. Just let it go. It's a new day. They're kids, and they're going to make mistakes. They're going to push your buttons. They're going to do what they're going to do. But above all, do not lose their trust and their confidence in you. Okay. And so this is Mary Jane and Angelica. Oh.
Dina is a trusting relationship because we can answer questions, tell her that we don't get something without feeling afraid and feeling embarrassed, because she tells us like it's okay, and she'll explain it to us. And we can trust her to tell us when we can tell her if anything's wrong, and she will give us support, and she will not get mad at us if we do anything wrong. She will take it easy on us.
Okay. And how was that created?
But she created it by she's been nice to us. And when we first met her, she was very nice, and she knows how to like act with kids. Like, she doesn't yell at us. She's nice. She can work with kids. It's very, very like comfortable.
Is she different from other teachers?
Well,
Yes.
not that different. She does this thing called blended learning. It's a different kind of learning, but it is very helpful with how we learn. And but she's very nice. I wouldn't say that she's that different from teachers, but she is very nice and different from any teachers I have experienced.
And she's not too different from other teachers because she can like she will work with like us, like she'll go up to the front and she'll like explain things with us like other teachers do, but not all the time. We can also do blended learning. It's so funny.
How do you know, or how was it established that it's okay not to know everything?
She's told us multiple times that like we don't
Don't
have to
worry,
worry.
it's okay. You can just tell her, and that I guess that really made us like comfortable.
And even if we get a failing grade, so say like it's okay, you just need to work on it, even if you're at like with the lowest thing that we can get. So we find that she won't get mad or do anything crazy.
Okay. So what I need, before I go on to the next slide, I got my booster COVID shot and got super sick at work. And so Mr. Puka came into the room and sent me home. And Mary Jane, the one in the red, like she was like, promise me you're coming back tomorrow. I said, I promise you that I'm coming back tomorrow. But do you promise that you're coming back tomorrow? I said, Mary Jane, I promise that I'm coming back tomorrow. She said, because that's what the last one said. I said, Mary Jane, I'm coming back tomorrow. I promise. Okay, so
Go.
Oh, sorry. Let me go to the next slide. Okay. Creating a learning community through facilitating peer collaboration. So right now I'm still trying to develop this tier. And so for me, what's worked best is it lends itself naturally to reading with iStation, of course, right? But for me, it's easier to establish kind of these peer collaborations using math, just because it's not as abstract as reading. So what I've done with these kids is that I've put them into like levels like this, that meet, approaching meets, and all that stuff, but also in learning styles. These three girls are probably the three of my most neediest girls. Without breaking any kind of confidentiality or whatever. One of them is has illnesses that keeps her from school. And so she misses a lot of school. Like she would miss anywhere between 2 to 3 days per week. This past week was the first week that she went to school the whole week. And that was huge for her. So I know that with her, I have to take it easy. So a lot of things for her, I already create so that it's already done for her and she doesn't have to, worry about becoming too tired or whatnot. So they're going to talk to you about how we work together in math.
Ms. Medina put a little slide on put a little boxes and it has our names on it and see what we had to do. And then we work on it as a team. One time Miss Medina showed us examples of doing two digit by two digit, and she let us pick what was the easiest way to do it. Okay, I was in a group that learned it the same way I did.
So by being in a group with people that had the same way of seeing the problem, was that helpful for you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So when you and your groups are working together, do you feel like you can ask one of them for help?
Yes. Like Mary Jane, who helps me if I forgot something.
Okay. And is there something that your teacher did to create that trust?
Yes. And she made the room comfortable where we could interact with her.
Okay.
And also that we can have a better.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you feel safe in your classroom?
Yes.
Do you feel like it's okay that you can make mistakes?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you feel like that? How? Explain to me that.
Because we're not the ones that always make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Even grown ups sometimes make a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel comfortable here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you feel comfortable?
Because I have a little bit more comfortable.
But how, Anubis? Tell me. Explain to me.
Because I know the people who I know,
Mm-hmm.
and they make me more feel better.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So is your teacher different from other teachers you've had in the past?
A little bit because we're doing blended learning.
Okay.
Yes, because our old teacher doesn't do that. She just does regular old school.
Okay. So tell me, when you say your new teacher does blended learning, what does that mean?
That actually makes me happy. Learning more stuff that we did more easier than the old school ways. Yes.
Do you feel like you have more control over what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay. My little girls, poor babies. Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong one.
But
Okay. So another part of the pillar here is a sense of purpose where the kids believe that they belong to the classroom and to the learning community. And that I think more than anything has helped with attendance because what I noticed coming into this new campus was that attendance is a big issue, and I'm sure it is everywhere, still with attendance. So what I do is I come up with a role or a job for every student to do. And some of them are my techies. So the boy in the glasses and the little one on the blue on the right, they're my techies. So they control the interactive display for me, the board. I just tell them I need this or I need that, or bring up this slide or bring up that slide, and it gets done. The one in the middle came to me from another teacher, and so his job is controlling the lights, and so he does not want to miss a day of controlling the lights. And I think in a second you'll understand. I may have to fast forward this one a little bit just so that we don't run out of time. Sorry. Did I not link this? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I didn't link it correctly. This is a picture apparently. I didn't do the video. But Alex is going to tell you that he feels responsible for controlling the lights. That's what he does. He turns on the lights at the top and the little lights on the bottom. The lights on the top are controlled by Alexa. And so I do have an Alexa Dot in my classroom that the kids can use. They can ask her questions and whatnot. They can't order stuff, but they can ask her questions. And so Alex knows that that's his job right now, is telling Alexa to turn on the cafe lights or to turn them off. And he knows that he can't break that trust with me, because then he's going to lose that job, and he really, really likes it. These two boys, especially my little Gaelito right here, Gael, he is very shy, and he's a very nervous little boy. He's always wanting to please. And so I'm working really hard with him. I don't have his trust yet. I can tell, because when you can just tell when a kid's like maybe still kind of a little bit afraid of you. And so I'm still working with him on that. Do you have any questions about this one, the purpose and leadership roles? No? Will somebody watch the chat box for me? Because I can't see you. Okay, I'm assuming somebody said yes. Please tell me I did these correctly. Okay. And then students seek collaboration with peers. So here's Buttons right here. Buttons, he is the one sitting on the left-hand side in the, like, maybe the black sweatshirt, right?
There is a question in the chat box.
Okay.
It says, do you change the tasks often?
Yes, but since we just started, I let them get to learn it, and then they switch over. Like for right now, Gael and Josiah Gael is teaching Josiah how to work the screen, and that's huge for Gael. And he says that in the video. I just didn't upload it correctly. He says that, it makes me feel good that I'm teaching Josiah how to do something because Josiah knows everything. And so by giving him that empowerment, I'm trying to bring him out of his shell a little bit and have him understand that, that he's smart and that he can do things and he can learn new things, because his confidence it's really bad. Like he just doesn't think he's good at anything. Remind me to go back to the three girls. Do you remember the video of the three girls? The one on the left-hand side, I believe she was wearing maybe a green shirt. When I started at Mission Valley, one of the first things that she told me was that nobody would ask her. She didn't think that anybody would ask her to help her with something. And I said, well, why? Why do you think that? And she told me, because I'm really stupid. That's what she said. And I didn't know how to react. And I said, no, you're not. I go, no, you're not. We're going to work on it. And we're going to, we're going to do what we need to do. We just need to baby step it, mija. We're going to do it slowly but surely. Now she has a little bit more confidence. School is hard for her. She misses a lot of school for, her health issues, but she's coming around, and just the fact that she came to school for the whole week last week was huge. It was huge for her. So I'm planning to do something for her on Monday because I'm just so proud of her. But on the left-hand side, the smaller window thing, Buttons, we're going to call him Buttons. He is, I don't want to tell you he's defiant, but he's defiant. Like he questions everything. Why? And well, what if this? And well, what if that? So when we were talking about peer collaboration, he's like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to help people. I don't think I can do that. And so as I was with a small group, and they were working on math. I don't remember what they were working on math, but they were doing something in math. And I look over and I see him on the floor on my fancy green carpet right there. And he's explaining something to Alessandra, because she called him over. And I need you to know that these two are like mortal enemies, where Alessandra is Miss Follow the Rules and Miss Do the Right Thing. And Ruben Buttons likes to push buttons, and he likes to question, and he likes to do this. She called him over to help her. And he went over there and he was helping her, and I could not believe it. I was like astonished. And I hope I did this one correctly so that you could see them. They have no idea that I videoed them.
2700. What? So, lunch program.
Yeah, I don't think you could hardly hear them, but I mean, I just was astonished at what was happening right there in front of my eyes. Over here, we have, this is Hector. I don't know what Hector looks like below the nose, because that mask is on all the time. I have no idea what he looks like. And this is Ruth. And Amy is new to us. She's coming from Alabama. She's only been in the room for, this is her second week. She started the week before Thanksgiving, and then she just completed this one. And so they're going to talk to you about collaboration with peers. So I want to talk to you today about helping and working with other students in the classroom. Does your teacher allow you to do that?
Yes.
Can you give me some examples of how that's done?
Like if she wants us, if she wants us to work in groups.
Can you give me an example of that?
Like math.
Mhm.
Like, let's say if someone gets stuck in a problem, they
Mhm. Right. So you work together to come up with the answer, but not necessarily giving each other the answer, right? You actually work through it?
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. So tell me, if you're stuck on something and you may be working independently, right? And the teacher's meeting with a small group, you know you can't interrupt her, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel comfortable enough in the classroom to go and ask another student for help?
Yes, like if there's like somebody around your table and they're not like somewhere, you could go ask them.
Okay. So have you ever been able to do that before?
Yes.
Okay. In other classrooms, or is this something new that is new with this current classroom? Okay. A little of both. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share about blended learning?
Yeah, it's new to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's new to me too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't learn it in my school.
Mm-hmm. You've never done anything like this before? Okay.
Kind of like familiar to me, like how other teachers do like centers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the teachers like bringing up groups so they could like do like a little read aloud right here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of familiar to me.
Okay. So what is it that's different?
What is different is that for blended learning, we use math instead of reading.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. I could not believe that Hector had volunteered to talk on camera. That was astonishing. Oh, sorry, I did it again. And again. Okay. So I don't know if you're familiar with this or even if I have the current like pillar document. And so what I did with my kids this week was I took snapshots of each 4 of these on the levels of implementation of this pillar. And I had them read, we looked at all 4 of them together. I didn't put the beginning, developing, practicing, or achieving. And so we looked at each one. On Fridays, I like to have a class meeting or something where we talk about, okay, how did the week go? What do we want to do? What do we want to work on? And so what this time though, is we looked at each individual component, like relationship with students. And I asked them, you need to be very honest with me. You need to tell me, am I doing this? Am I not doing this? And so they thought that we were between, and I assigned them the numbers 2 and 3, between numbers 2 and 3. And then after that, we talked about, okay, so where do we fall in each one of these columns, right? So the yellow is what they think that we do. And the blue is the goal that we're going to work towards. So they felt this time around that they needed to learn how to collaborate with one another in a better way and kind of establish those relationships with themselves. and that's what they want to work on for at least these 2 weeks leading into January. I have to give these kids a lot of credit because I've really pushed them in the little amount of time that I've had them. And so that's just kind of how I've been trying to establish, the culture in the classroom. I had some other slides and then I didn't save it like the baby genius that I am, and I lost them. But I also have ambassadors to the classroom. I asked the kids if that was something that they were interested in doing. And so an ambassador, whenever we have a visitor, they go to the door and they greet them. They give them a tour of the room, and then they tell them what we're working on and what everybody else is working on, and to feel free to ask anybody questions. And so I call them the Jaguars of the week. And at first nobody wanted to do it. So Mary Jane volunteered right away, and Jordan, who was absent on Friday. But all of a sudden yesterday, everybody was like, well, are you gonna pick new ones? And I was like, well, maybe. And then all of a sudden now everybody wants to be a Jag of the week. So I thought that was really interesting. Is there anything on the slideshow that you would like for me to go back to? Because that's it. Oh no, I lied. I forgot about these two. So in the morning, I'm going to come back over here. One of these is that students enter the classroom and sometimes begin working without the teacher giving direction first. And students usually know how to transition, and teacher don't always need to remind them of that. So what I do every morning is I create a slideshow for the day. Okay. And I tell them, this is exactly what you need to do before I start doing this. So I already had them kind of already looking at that, at those 4 parts of that pillar before we started talking about it. And then at 7:45, I start our Let's Get the Day Started song, which is Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne. That's what we decided on. And then over here, this was a kind of like a little group that I made for math, because for me, it's easier to bring in the student agency and all the other things with math. It's a little bit more concrete and easier for the kids to adapt to. And then I move it full blown into reading that, like you heard in other presentations perhaps. So this one was my meets and masters. And this is what they had to do. And these were the people that were going to work together. So it was Josiah, Mary Jane, Ruben, and Alex. Then when we were at 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication, I am at Sharon Wells campus, even though I haven't taught math in quite a while. So this is how I asked them how they felt most comfortable learning that concept. And then I broke the teams apart like that. So when I met with small groups, I met with 4 of them, even though the old school, or AKA the chancla way, that group was big. So I had to split them apart into 2 groups. So they felt more comfortable working with those kids, because they were learning it in a way that they all had in common. Okay. And for reals, that's the last one. Okay, so I'm going to come back to you over here. Questions?
There's one in the chat box.
Okay.
It says, how often do you meet with students to address the goal?
That particular goal, like where we are as far as in the pillars?
The question doesn't specify it.
Well, I usually do. Well, this is something that I thought, okay, I've never really done it before. When I was working on it at Pebble Hills, I worked with my dual teacher, and we would look at it and then kind of like decide or think about, okay, so how are we going to get them to do this? But since I don't have another teacher with me on campus, they're going to have to help me. So that's what I did with them. So I'll probably come back in January and go over those again with them. But like individual student conferences, I meet with them monthly for iStation, and we talk about that. So I've only done it once in November because that's the first time that they took a test, an iStation exam with me. And it took a while because I needed them to understand all the components of iStation. And so what I use is, oh my God, it's something that I used a long time ago. They're like triangles. And it's each component of iStation, and then they shade in what tier they are and what that score was. And then this time I showed this class, well, this is what you picked. This is what was asked, and this is what you picked. And I had kids' mouths on the floor. Oh my God, I can't believe that you can see that. I was like, I can see that. Every teacher you've ever had that gives iStation, they can see what you're doing. So every time they take any kind of assessment type of a thing like iStation, I meet with them right after they have it done. Every time they take a Sharon Walls assessment, as soon as they finish it, they sit next to me. I hand them a colored pen and tell them whether the answer is right or wrong. I mean, the feedback is instant. And it's easy because there's only 15 of them. Anything else? Any other questions?
I have a question. Do you want me to put in the chat or just ask you? Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Miss Camille. How are you?
I'm good. I was looking at your first slide and it said, I guess I missed it. Maybe you explained it. It said blended learning poll. What exactly is that? What do you do in the morning with the blended learning poll?
It was the 4 components, like the beginning, that one. I had them read it together as a group and kind of discuss it so that at 7:45, I didn't have to go into as much depth with it. So, yeah, I am like, my head spins every day because I haven't been even though it's only been what, 3-4 years that I haven't been in the classroom. It is shocking how different the classroom is. It's shocking. I can't believe like how much the kids have changed. Like, I'm like, you guys, I'm not Britney Spears. I can't keep you entertained this whole day. You're going to have to learn some student skills here, guys. Addressing the gaps is huge. Oh my gosh. It's just, yeah, I'm still kind of in shock a little bit about going back into the classroom, but I love it.
Thank you.